Hello students, and welcome back to another algebra video. You know what to do. Pause the video, try this problem in your notes, and then unpause it to do it with me. Okay, the problem asks us to write an equation of the line that passes through the points 0, -2, and 4, 10. So, what we need, remember we want to write this in the form y equals mx plus b. So we need to know what is m and what is b. And then we can plug those in to our equation. So first, let's find the slope. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's make the first point x1, y1, and the second point x2, y2. All right, now we have y2 is 10 minus y1 is -2 divided by x2 is 4 minus x1 is 0. Okay, so 10 minus -2, remember minus a negative comes together and becomes positive. So 10 plus 2 is 12 divided by 4 minus 0. Well, that's just 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. And we have that m equals 3. Wonderful. All right. Now what about b? What is b? Well, in order to figure out what b is, we need to look at our points. And notice that the first point has an x-coordinate of 0. The y-intercept, and that's what b is the y-intercept. The y-intercept happens when x is 0. So my y-intercept, or b, is -2. All right, here we go. We have m, we have b. Now it's time to plug them in. So we have y equals m, or 3x, plus b. But remember, we don't need plus -2. We can just write -2. And there you have it. Y equals 3x minus 2. All right, that was a nice review of what we did in the last video. Now, let's move on to what we have for this video. This video is going to be the last of section 4.1, and I know you're like, oh my goodness, 3 parts on one section. But remember how we talked about that chapter 4, which is all about writing equations of lines, is very, very important. Linear functions are foundational to algebra, and linear functions are everywhere in the world around us. So we're going to keep talking about linear functions. In chapter 5, we're going to talk about linear systems of equations. We're going to talk about lines. We're going to keep talking about lines. Okay, so today our learning target is, you know how to find the y-intercept of a line. And our success criteria is you can write the equation of a line using any 2 points. And I know what you're thinking, isn't this exactly what we did yesterday? It's very similar to what we did yesterday, but it's a little bit different. And you'll see why in our first example. But first, of course, let's review slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. And remember that if we have a slope of 0, that gives us a constant function, which is a horizontal line. Okay, now our first example. So our learning target said that we know how to find the y-intercept, and our success criteria was that we could find the equation of a line using any 2 points. Now what I want you to notice is look at the points that they give us for part A and part B. Is the x coordinate 0 in either of these? Do we have x equals 0 anywhere? No. I have -6, 3, -3, 4, 1, 1, and 3, 5. I don't have x equals 0 anywhere. Remember that in our entry task, we needed, when x is 0, that gives us our y-intercept. That gives us what b is. But in example 5, we aren't given x equals 0. We have x equals -6 and 1 and 3, but we don't have x equals 0. So we can't just look at the point and say, oh yeah, 4 is equal to b. No, we actually can't do that. We have to do this another way. And that's what today is all about. Today is just this one example so that we can really zoom in on how to find b. So we actually have 2 slides. We're going to do A on this slide, and we're going to do B on the next slide so that we have enough space to do what we need to do. So, first things first, we want y equals mx plus b in the end, which means we need to figure out what m is and what b is. Now m is the slope. That's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's do that, because we know how to do that. x1, y1, x2, y2. And if you want to pause the video and try this part on your own, I would recommend that. See if you can do it without me. All right, y2 is 4 minus y1 is 3 divided by x2 is -3 minus x1 is -6. All right. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And -3 minus -6, remember minus a negative comes together and becomes positive. So -3 plus 6, well, that's the same thing as 6 plus -3, or 6 minus 3, which is 3. Cool. Okay, so we get that our slope is equal to 1/3. Awesome. Now, B, the y-intercept. What is it? We can't just look at our points. We don't know what it is. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take y equals m, or 1/3, x plus b. This is what we want. We just want to change b to whatever number it's supposed to be. Now, here's what we're going to do. X and y. X is just the independent variable. Y is the dependent variable. X is the input. Y is the output. And notice, they give us 2 points where I know what x is, and I know what y is. I know what the input and the output is. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these points. Pick your favorite. For me, I'm going to use -6, 3, because I can. -6, 3. Okay, so -6 is the x part, and 3 is the y part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change y to be 3. And I'm going to change x to be negative 6. Because when x is negative 6, y is equal to 3. Because this is a point where the input and the output are connected, I can plug them in to this y equals 1/3 x plus b. And I know what you might be thinking. Why? Why would we do that? Well, because look what happens. I have 3 equals 1/3 times negative 6 plus b. Watch this. If I multiply 1/3 times negative 6, that's the same thing as negative 6 divided by 3. What is negative 6 divided by 3? Oh, negative 2. Negative 2 plus b. Wait a minute. This is an equation that I can solve for b. b plus negative 2 equals 3. Well, let's get b by itself. Let's add 2 to both sides. Gets rid of the negative 2. And I get 5 equals b. Hey, now I know what b is. Awesome. Awesome. And I can go back to my y equals mx plus b. I know b is 5. And I can write y equals 1/3 x plus 5. And there you go. So the only new part to this example was plugging in x and y. Now remember, we used the first point. You can use whichever of these points you want. You could have used the negative 3, 4 instead. And you could have plugged in y equals 4 and x equals negative 3. That would have worked too. That also would have worked. We chose the first point, but it doesn't matter which point you use. Okay, all right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do part B, because I know one example probably isn't enough for this one, because it's a little bit more complicated than the other examples we've done. So here's what I'm going to ask you. If you understood the last example, or if you think you can figure out part B given the notes from part A, I want you to pause the video and try part B on your own. If you get stuck, that's okay. You can always just press play on the video, but I want you to try it by yourself. And remember that mistakes are a part of learning. All right, so we want y equals mx plus b. We want to know what m is. We want to know what b is. And let's start with m, because we have lots of practice finding slope. So it shouldn't be too hard for us. All right, y2, oh, whoops. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is 5 minus y1 is 1 divided by x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 1. Okay, now 5 minus 1 is 4, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Yes. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Awesome. So we know m equals 2. The slope is 2. Now, I can't find b from the points. X isn't equal to 0. If this were a 0, boom, done. B is 1. Live happily ever after. Problem is done. But because x is not 0, we have to solve for b. Which means I'm going to take my y equals 2x plus b. I don't know what b is yet, but I'm plugging m in here. I know that m is 2. And I'm going to pick one of these points. let's do 1, 1, because it looks easier to me. The number 1 is smaller than 3 and 5. Smaller numbers are easier to work with in my brain. So let's use the point 1, 1. And that means, if I take 1, 1, that means that x is 1 and y is 1. So when I plug them in here, I'm going to have 1 equals 2 times 1 plus b. If that's confusing to you, you're like, why are they both 1? It's just because that's what the point was. Remember in part A, x and y were different. X and y will not always be the same. They just happen to be the same in this example. Okay, and now we're going to zoom in on solving for b. So we have 1 equals 2 times 1 is 2 plus b. And how do we solve? How do we get b by itself? Well, we're going to do the opposite of adding 2, which is subtracting 2 from both sides to keep that teeter-totter balanced, the one we talked about in chapter 1. Okay, and 1 minus 2 is -1 equals b. Hey, there you go. b is equal to -1. Are we done? Is that it? Can I move on? Not quite, because remember, I need to write the equation. That's what it asked us to do. Write an equation of each line. So we have y equals m, or 2x, plus b. And remember, we don't need to write plus -1. We can just write -1. And there we are. Final answer. Okay. Alrighty. That is all I have for you today. Now is a wonderful time to rate your understanding of the learning target and the success criteria. Do you know how to find the y-intercept? Do you know how? You know the process of finding the y-intercept? And can you find the equation of any line given 2 points? Any 2 points. Yeah, if you're a 1, be sure to ask some questions and get some help. If you're a 2, you should be able to tackle some of the homework. You might struggle through it a little bit, but remember, struggle means that our brain is growing and that we're learning. And if you're a 3, try reaching out to some of your friends and say, hey, do you need help with your math homework? Because I get it. Because that would be a very, very nice thing for you to do. Alrighty. And questions are the path to learning. So if you just tell yourself, oh, I'm a 1, I must be stupid. Like, no. Remember, Mrs. Dodge lived in the 1 category all through college and even through some high school. So questions are the path to learning. If you just sit there like, oh, I'm a 1, I must be stupid, I'll never learn. Well, yeah, if you never ask questions, you are never going to learn. But just because you're a 1 doesn't mean you can't learn. You just need to ask some questions and get on the path to learning. All right, as always, here are some practice problems you can do to practice the skills learned in this video. We only did 1 type of example in this video, so these problems are like the example that we did. All right, and as always, let's end our video with a launch. So today's launch comes from Cheryl Sandberg, and she says, motivation comes from working on things we care about. Now, it's easy to misinterpret this quote and say, oh, yeah, I don't care about school. That's why I'm not motivated to work on it, because school is dumb. And sure, you could take that attitude. If you take that attitude, you're never going to feel motivated to work on your homework. And passing your classes is going to be very difficult. But we get to choose the things that we care about. Now, it's more difficult to care about some things than others, just like it's more difficult to care about some people than it is other people. Some people you naturally just want to be around, you want to care about, and other people you don't click with as much. And that's okay. It's okay to need to work a little bit harder to care about things. But if you want motivation, you need to truly care about something. So if you want motivation to work on your schoolwork, you need to care about your schoolwork. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I can't just magically make myself care about something, Mrs. Dodges. That's not how it works. But it is. Find reasons to care about school. If you want, like, what job do you want in the future? I don't know, I just want to make good money. Okay, well, typically, going to college means that you can get a job that pays better. So maybe you need to go to college. And if you need to go to college, you need to pass your classes in high school in order to get into college. You need to graduate from high school in order to go to college. And even if you don't go to college, most jobs require a high school diploma. So we need to get our high school diploma. We need to pass our classes. There's your motivation. Well, I care about graduating. And if I care about graduating, I need to care about each class because I need to pass every class in order to graduate. So find reasons to care about school. I want to make my teacher proud. I want to make my parents proud. I want to see how much I can learn. I want to be smart. I want to be able to build things and create things, and I need knowledge and logic to be able to do that. Find reasons to care about school, and you'll get more motivation. And it's not just about school, right? This works with anything. If you want to find motivation to work out, maybe you want to get some sweet muscles. If you want to find the motivation to work out, care about working out. Care about being healthy. Care about looking nice. Find reasons to care about working out, and you'll find more motivation to get it done. If you want to write a book, care about the book. Care about the writing process. Care about the people that are going to read this book, you know? It works with anything. School, writing a book, working out, learning an instrument, whatever you want, learning a language, whatever your goals and your dreams are. If you want to be motivated, you need to really, really care about what you're working on. So, that is my launch for you today. Take it with you as you go throughout your day. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Bye!